All right. 5 financial red flags that you should watch out for when you're in a relationship. So, what are you going to get from this video today? Well, today I'm going to be talking about, things that you should be concerned about. And, it's really hard to talk about a topic like this because, when you're in love, when you meet that person that you care about, you're vibing, you're happy, you're in the clouds, you just don't want to ever think that everything won't be perfect. But when we're with a partner and we're trying to settle down, especially for thinking for the long term, it's really, really important that we begin to think about, are we compatible financially? And this doesn't mean that, are they rich and I'm rich, or are they poor and I'm poor? No. What that means is, do you have the same kind of values? What do you know about this person financially? Do they have a lot of debt? Or how do they spend money? What do they earn? Do they even have a job? Are they interested in working or contributing to the family? Are they expecting that you will do that alone? It's so important in so many ways that you think about, how am I financially compatible with this person? And that doesn't mean that they need to be exactly like you, or that person needs to be exactly like me. In many relationships, you have one party that's a spender, and then you have one party that's more of a saver. And sometimes this dichotomy works really, really well. It kind of merges and creates this beautiful relationship where you are more than the sum of your parts. However, there's situations where opposites do not attract, they repel, and they're disastrous. So it's really important that you know what are the things that could be potential deal breakers, so you can watch out for them while you're falling in love. So, what are financial red flags? Well, financial red flags are, what's a red flag? It's a caution. It's a troubling behavior. So in the financial setting, as pertains to relationship, a financial red flag is an area, a behavior that's of concern, debt, a mindset, because sometimes it's not just behavior. It may be mindset, it may be orientation, it may be history that's a concern that you find that can create a situation where, and I'm trying to look for the word, where for you are uncomfortable. And I think it's not just about good or bad. There's some situations where what's a red flag to me might not be a red flag to you. But it's all about how you as an individual feel about your financial situation and your financial goals, and how this relationship and perhaps these red flags will either impede those goals or maybe completely derail them. So when you think about red flags, let me take that again. Financial red flags fundamentally are behaviors, history, incidents, that objectives, mindset, different things that can negatively affect your ability to meet your financial goals. And ultimately, in a relationship, these red flags can render you and your potential partner incompatible if unaddressed or unaddressable. So, what are 5 red flags that you should be concerned about? Because the best way I can explain flags, if you ask me to describe a flag of a country, I could say it has lots of colors, it's usually a triangle, but it's best if I give you some examples of red flags that you should be thinking about, that if you're in a relationship, that could derail your objectives, that could negatively impact your ability to achieve your goals. So the first thing I think you should think about is, if your money partner, and this applies to both men and women, if your partner is secretive about where their money goes. So maybe you know that they have a job or they have a business, they earn a good income, and payday comes, and it's not that they have an obligation to share the income with you, but when you ask basic questions about, so what's your budget look like? They're like, that is none of your business. That's a big red flag. Why don't they want you to know? You're sharing your soul with them. You're sharing your values with them. In some cases, you're even sharing your body with them. Why wouldn't they want to share with you, even if it's in a high level? They don't have to give you all the details or the minutia, the boring stuff. But I mean, you should have a general idea. How much are they spending on food? Do they have family members they contribute to? Do they donate to charity? Do they have, parents they look after? What are they spending their money on? Do they have a goal, a big goal they're saving up for, a new car or a house or a vacation? But if they're like, it's none of your business, don't ever ask me that again, and that's not part of this conversation, that's a big red flag. And it's not necessarily going to get better. You may think that, oh, I'm earning less than him. Maybe he doesn't want to tell me how much he earns, or maybe he doesn't want to tell me how he's spending his money because he feels, if I tell her, she will make demands on my money. Well, that's also a red flag, because it means he sees you as a financial liability, or perhaps a gold digger, or perhaps not worthy for him to spend his money on, because let's be honest, in relationships, it should be about give or take. And that behavior rarely gets better if not addressed very early in a relationship. The second point I think you should think about in terms of red flags is if they hide their debt from you. And, if they look, everyone has debt. Well, not everybody, but most people at some time or the other are going to have debt. You're trying to get a university degree, you're trying to buy a home, you're starting a business, you're trying to buy a car, or you've bought a car, there was a sudden situation or illness. People have debt from time to time. Hey, it happens. It's part of life. What's important is, are you servicing your debt? Do you have the capacity to service your debt? And are you putting things in place to make sure that, you don't have unnecessary and avoidable debt in the future? But if you're with someone, male or female, where they owe money or they're in debt all the time and they've hidden it from you, you don't even know that they have debt. So here you are in this relationship in a fool's paradise, and maybe who they owe money to, the person has a hold on them. It's just dangerous for so many reasons. Now, they may feel that, well, we're dating, I don't need to share that with you. And yes, definitely you don't want on your first date or your first probably 10 dates to start listing out, these are all the people I owe money to. Yes, let's not be unreasonable. But if you're in a serious relationship now and things are getting pretty serious, you should have an idea that they have debt and how they're managing their debt. It's really important. But if they're hiding it from you, that it's very possible that the debt is way more than you think it is. I mean, some people will even lie and give you a false figure. They'll say, oh, I just have, my debt is the equivalent of, let's say, $1,000 or $5,000. But in reality, what they have is 10 times or 100 times that. So be very, very careful. If you see this as a red flag, you're finding bills, you're finding letters, demand letters for them to make payments. Just be very cautious. If you discover you're in a relationship with someone that's hiding debt from you, be very, very careful. If you can't get them to open up and be totally honest with you about their debt situation when they take debt and that they have it, I think you need to be guided, because there's no point in you earning so much money trying to achieve a goal. This can really derail you. And then your partner is, basically the hole in the bucket that everything you're trying to put in is just flowing right through. The third thing I'd like to talk about that's a red flag is if you have a partner that can't stick to a budget. This is a major red flag, because, a budget, especially if agreed between the two of you, is like a contract. It's like a psychological contract. We both agreed this month, this is how we're going to spend our money. And you're working with that plan and you're working with that agreement, but the person is just throwing it away. You don't want to be in that situation. So if you find, and some people are not used to working with budgets. They like to spend freely. They like to spend how they feel emotionally, which is also kind of dangerous, which is why a budget is so important and sticking to it. And so it may take a few months, sessions for them to get used to the idea of a budget. You may realize maybe your budget's too tight. You need to give some little bit of wiggle room so that they can feel comfortable, because it's also important that a budget is realistic. There are lots of budgets that are just unrealistic and too restrictive. But the truth is, when you get to that point, I mean, if you've tried for about 4, 5 months, they should be able to stick to a budget. And if they're going to need to exceed a budget for a valid reason, it should be a conversation again. Not because you're the boss of them or you're going to tell them no, but because, like I said, it's a collaborative, psychological contract. We've both agreed to work with this budget in order to achieve a particular goal together. And so courtesy just demands, if you're going to exceed, if they're going to exceed, have a conversation. So you're not having this tension that appears when it's like, oh, I thought we saved so much money this month. And you're like, oh, no. I had to spend it on A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Oh, so when I bought you, when I took you out for a date, where do you think the money came from? No, that's not right. And it's a real big red flag if your partner can't keep to a budget. A fourth point I'd like to talk about that's a red flag is if they don't pay their bills on time. And I think this also ties a little bit to debt management, but not necessarily, because if you have a bill every month, it's not necessarily a debt. But if they have this habit of, oh, I'll get to it when I'll get to it. They're even grateful that I'm even paying them. Oh, there's been pandemic. So many people haven't paid this bill. And their total attitude towards it is, I can pay this whenever I feel like paying it. Or they just forget. They don't have a structure around making sure they pay bills. So they're often caught off guard that, oh, so I'm owing money. It's a very insecure position to be in that kind of relationship. Because what it means is that literally financial bombs will be going off at any time from any direction. And so there's this sense of uncertainty and instability that will plague your lifestyle. So it's really important that if you see this red flag in a relationship, that you do what you can to address it. But if it's not addressable, then you begin to think about, can you live that way? And if you can't, you take adequate measures. Another red flag that you should look at, and this is the fifth red flag, is if they have no savings or investments. Now, I'm going to qualify this a bit because people often say, well, what if I'm young? I'm just 21, he's 24. Do you expect him to have savings or investments at that stage? And the truth is, maybe. I think at least, and so this is a qualified red flag based on age. I think the older that you are, the more important it is that whoever you're partnering with, has savings and has investments. But if you're just fresh out of college, then at least what you want to see is that becoming wealthy ultimately is more about behavior in many cases than it is about how much you earn or how much you have earned. Now, that's separate from becoming mega rich and a billionaire. And look, hey, I'm not about coming here to tell you how to be a billionaire. If I knew, I wouldn't be here talking to you on YouTube. But if you want to be wealthy, you want to make a few million, you want to be comfortable, I can talk to you about that. And so it's about behavior and lifestyle behaviors. So it's not about, I didn't say here they must have savings of at least the equivalent of $10,000 or $100,000. I'm not going to put an amount to it. But they should have savings and they should have investments. You should see that they're on this path to putting aside a little bit of whatever they earn and investing it for that money to continue to grow and work for them. Many students, when they're in university, either get allowances, and those who don't get allowances by necessity have jobs. And so whatever job they're working, they should be able to put away a percentage of that money and save it. 10%, 15%, but they should have that culture of having saved money. And then they should also have the culture of having invested the money. Now, your early investments often go bad. So I'm not even saying if you're in your 20s, the investments need to even be necessarily good. That's the opportunity for you to learn about investing. And a lot of this we learn by doing, by having that experience. We consume some information, we do some research, and then we put all of that to use. But it's possible, because everything bears risk, that some of those risks won't go right. But there should be a history and a track record, even for someone who is 25, that they try to invest, that they have investments, and that they are investing. But definitely, there's no excuse for them not to be saving. Now, some people just don't realize that. And so that's why I said it's a red flag. If you're not married to this person and you're dating in a relationship, these are all really good discussion points to see, can there be change? So as you're watching in the relationship, does the person treat me well? Do they make me a priority? Do they share their inner being with me? And you're working on that, make sure you're also working on these financial behaviors and red flags. Now, because you've stayed this long in the video, I will give you a bonus red flag. But before I do that, please hit the like button, subscribe, and also share a comment down below. So the sixth point, which is the bonus point of a red flag, financial red flag in relationships, is if they borrow money a lot. Now you may say, but Bookie, you already said this when you said if they hide your debt from you. Different things. In this case, you know the person has debt, but they have this tendency to just borrow. And it goes hand in hand with people who aren't able to keep to a budget. They borrow from your friends, they borrow from your family, they borrow from their friends, they borrow from their colleagues. It's really goes really hand in hand with not having the discipline to stay within a budget. If they're often borrowing, it means that you can easily find yourself in a situation where if you end up in a relationship with them, you're responsible for their debt. I'm going to end my video on this note and share a story. And it's a bit of a sobering story. I mean, some people think it's funny, but it's actually not funny. I remember that there was a lady that I used to counsel on her financial situation. Lovely, beautiful, gifted, hardworking, resilient young woman. And she had a joint account, obviously, with her husband. Her husband had this habit of not keeping to a budget, so many financial red flags, borrowing from everyone he could borrow. And then, of course, in his case, he was also concealing his debt from her. And so I remember her telling me this story that was so humiliating and traumatizing for her mentally when she talked about she got home from work. And she would get home and because she lived in a secured estate, she would, drop at the estate. She didn't have a car anymore because it had been repossessed. And so she's walking home. And so when she walks home, there's a commercial section in the estate where they sell drinks. It's like a convenience store, drinks, food, just quick items that you need on your way home. So she stops over and goes in there and she wanted to buy something. I think some chips, some French fries for her kids that she could make when she got home. And she gets there and the storekeeper is like, "Oh, I'm so glad I got to see you." And she's like, "Oh, why?" And she goes, "Well, actually your husband has been collecting items here for the last 1 month. And he told us when you come in next, you would settle the bill." And so she's shook, like, okay, I hope it's not too much. She's thinking in her mind. And she goes, "Okay, no problem. How much is it?" And it was such an amount, she couldn't cover the bill. So she went home without the French fries. She had to give them everything she had. And, she told me the way she felt was like she was naked. She was walking home without her clothes on, exposed, vulnerable, in a mess of a situation. And she didn't know what to do about it. She later shared with me that she went to the bank. She received a call from the bank. And her husband had taken out a loan. And eventually they got separated. But because they had a joint account and they were married, even after they were separated and eventually divorced, she still had to service and pay off that loan. So, there's a saying, an old adage that goes, "A stitch in time saves 9." Some of these red flags, when you see them, examine them more. Don't just flit over them and think, "Oh, it doesn't matter, we're in love." No. Ask questions lovingly, persistently. Be a little nosy, especially if you're not yet committed in a relationship or married. And if you can see that these behaviors are intractable, your partner, whether it's a he or a she, are not willing to change or surrender these behaviors, well, know that one of the biggest things that cause tensions in a marriage is money. And now, don't stop it. Is money. Now, I want to say thank you for listening. Be humble and learn always. Bye for now. So as you can see today, I'm going right back down memory lane. I'm getting married. The wedding, the cake, where we live, our home, our car, what will my life be like? Oh, the babies that I'm expecting. Everything's going to be so wonderful. But hold on, take a moment. If you're getting married, what does it mean for your finances? What does being married, when two become one, what does it really, really mean? That's what we're going to talk about today on Good Eve. Come and join me for the ceremony. Hi everybody, my name is Bookie and I'm here for the Good Eve channel. I'm a bit hyper today, Anyway, I think it's just all the memories of getting married. Oh gosh, I got married quite a bit ago. I'm not going to tell you how many years it's been, but it's been an interesting ride, a little bit of a roller coaster, but all in all, it's been fun. Thank you, my love, for all you do. But what we're talking about here today is, are you getting married? So if you have a cousin, a sister, a brother, someone that's getting married, this video is for them. And what are we talking about here? Finances. What does it mean now that you're getting married? Now in this video, I'm not really going to talk so much about the cost of a wedding. This is not a wedding review, although that gives me an idea. I probably should think about doing something like that, right? But what I do want to talk about here are the implications of when you have tied the knot, after the partying and the wedding ceremony and the beautiful clothes and all that festivity, when everyone leaves you and goes to their homes and leaves you guys to yourselves. The two of you have come together now. What does it mean? Why is being married, even from a legal standpoint, so different from being single? And that's what I just want to touch on today. Because a lot of people, you're surprised, don't really realize just how much their life is going to change financially and legally when they get married. So, according to Merrill Lynch, there are about 6 areas that you need to be cognizant of. You need to bear in mind, keep in mind, are going to be impacted significantly when you get married. The first one is the good one, right? Potentially you now have 2 incomes, right? Or there's the potential for 2 incomes. So in some couples, have you decided if both partners are going to work? Have you decided if one partner is going to stay at home, have kids, or look after the children while the other person may have kids and work? Have you thought about that? But you have the potential, because it's 2 beings who have the ability to go and commit their time to labor to make money. So potentially and in reality, most married couples make a lot more money than singletons or single gals or boys or all the others. So that's one of the things that's definitely going to change now that you're married. The second thing you need to think about are retirement, and this is a bit gloomy, death benefits. When you're single and you retire, it's one income you've been working at and it's one pension plan. But if you're married, that pension plan is shared between both you and your spouse. And in the case of death, you also need to be thinking about how your spouse is taken care of in that time. Even death goes beyond just the financial aspects of it, because even medical care for your partner or your spouse, in the law, most couples, your significant other is your next of kin, and they have the right to make, life and death decisions over your medical care, which can also have financial implications. So for instance, I know, really gloomy, if a partner, for instance, is in a coma, how long do they stay in that coma for? The spouse gets to determine that. If there's a do not resuscitate, if they ask you to, to pull the plug, for instance, it usually falls fully within the purview of that spouse. And For every day that spouse remains on that support, there's a cost implication versus not. And so it's really important to realize that as a spouse, you should have a living will, for instance, which talks about your medical decisions. Do you want to be resuscitated? What do you want to happen to your organs? Because you have to understand it's a really, really emotional time. And even though you're just married and you're married together for a limited period of time, there are family members of your spouse who have known this person longer than you, who may have even given birth to your spouse, and they feel even more vested and more entitled to make health decisions on their behalf in their best interest. But unfortunately, the law puts that responsibility in the hands of you, the spouse. And so if you're trying to balance that, it's really helpful for if both parties have articulated their desires so that all the frustration and the emotional backlash doesn't just boom hit the surviving spouse, but they can understand that the spouse that was impacted had already made some decisions. Now, stepping away from that, and it's still in the same vein, a third point that you need to consider when you get married is estate planning. And estate planning talks about when you are no more, down the road, maybe you have kids, who do you want to get your stuff? So when I talked about retirement and death, I was talking more about the health implications of having someone who could take care of you and be with you. And then I touched lightly on the fact that there's a pension, right? But when it comes to estate planning, both of you have lived this life together. And hopefully you've accumulated stuff together and you're thinking the house or the car or my jewelry or just so many different things, stocks, bonds, shares that we've been able to accumulate. How do I want them to be distributed when I'm not here? And the truth is, most of the law provides for, if in the event that your spouse passes away, the other spouse automatically gets everything, unless otherwise stated. And this can be sometimes traumatic in families where, for instance, their family heirlooms that they wish to be passed down, maybe to all the boys or to all the girls. And if you haven't spelt out and made these things very clear, a lot of tension can come into place with families and the surviving spouse. If they, for instance, just choose, which they're legally allowed to do maybe dispose of the heirloom or give it to someone else, or they just donate it to a museum. They could do something that could really cause a lot of pain. So when it comes to estate planning as a couple, you really need to come together. You can't just think about only yourself. You have to really be thinking about yourself, your partner, and sometimes the implication on the wider family. Fourth point I'd like to touch on are taxes. I know everyone thought this was going to be a romantic video. Sorry to disappoint you. There's a lot of administrative work that goes into being married and remaining married, and taxes is one of them. So there's some tax benefits of being married, but primarily not really. Most of the tax benefits come from being able to claim dependents, which now more increasingly is not strictly within the purview of married people. I think when a lot of the tax laws were set out, they focused on the fact that and functioned under the assumption that only married couples would have children. But as we've seen today, a lot of single parents can have children, and they also are eligible to claim relief on their income, relief from their income for depending on the number of dependents and children that they have. But for married couples, there's some tax benefits, but not really too many. In fact, in some countries, it actually works out cheaper if you don't get married from a tax standpoint. But I still think it's the romantic and it's a nice thing to do. So get married. Don't say you're not going to get married because you won't save as much as you expected on your taxes. So point number 5, debt implications. Now, as a married couple, I'm going to break it to you. Unless you have a prenuptial agreement, and even then, that only deals with debt before you got married. Any debt you incur while you're married, and in many cases before you got married, is no longer a single person's debt. It is collective debt. You are both responsible for payment. So, for instance, if you get divorced and you're like, well, when I came into the marriage, I had no debt, but he had $100,000 worth of debt. If you did not have a pre-existing agreement that addressed that before you got married, you are taking away at least 50% of that debt. But I've used all my money to buy the house, so I should take the house by myself and he should take his debt. Nope, 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 nope. Doesn't matter if he or she did not contribute to the payment to the house. Typically, the way the law looks at it, you're both one entity. They look at total debts, total assets. They'll do a calculation, and the judge in most cases will award something that looks more equitable, around 50-50 on both. So what does that mean? You need to know your partner's debt before you get married. What do they owe? Because it's not just them anymore. Both of you now owe this money. And you need to be clear that you're ready, willing, and will not resent them for taking on this debt. So does that mean you shouldn't marry someone that has debts? I didn't say that. But you should make an informed decision around that. Because after y'all get married, you guys need to work on it. You can't get married and say, no, 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 that's his own debt. It's his own student loan. I'm not going to help. And then, but I have no, so I'm fine. You're not fine. If he's not fine, you're not fine. If she's not fine, you're not fine. So when it comes to debt, you take on the other person's debts. Okay? Debt is shared. It's no longer the other person's. It's our debt. So bear that in mind. So the sixth and final point deals with family obligations. Now, this is not necessarily a legal point or even a financial point, but it doesn't have bearings on both. What responsibilities does your partner or yourself do you have towards your family? Are you sending your siblings through, putting your siblings through school? Are you responsible for helping your mom or your dad or your parents pay their rent? Are there things that as a family you had made commitments to before you made a decision to get married, in which you're essential part of making those things successful? Do you have a family member that perhaps is ill, that you've committed to 1 day a week or 2 days a week to provide care along with the others? You have to bear some of these things in mind. Now, that doesn't mean that you're bound to these obligations forever, but your family, your spouse's obligations, in a way, especially when it comes to family, many ways become yours as well. So you need to think about, oh, no, he'll stick with his family there and I'll stick with my family here and we'll meet in the middle. That might work for you, but a lot of times the truth is, if you're doing this for life, you're going to have to help him with his obligations and he's going to have to help you with his family obligations. And so it bears, reasoning that you need to understand what is he committed to, and he needs to know what you're committed to. And you guys need to sit down and be clear, how are you going to navigate this? So if it means you're both going to have to step back a little bit, what kind of substitute support can you provide? If you can't be there to provide physical care, like I always take my father to his medical appointments, that could be an example. My dad is late, so I don't. If you're not able to do that anymore, is there another solution that you can provide? Can you swap that responsibility for something else? Can you provide someone who can do that for him and pay for it? I mean, those are some of the things you need to begin to think about in terms of how things will change when you get married. The truth is, a lot of marriages are negatively impacted by a lot of measures, but two primary ones. One, finances. Not understanding it, not having enough money or enough of it. They're also impacted by family. You're not just marrying your partner. And really, you should be the most important person to your partner once you get married. That is true. But you're not just marrying him. You're also marrying his history. You're marrying his mom and his dad in a way. And I mean, I don't mean that they live with you, but his interactions, the things they've taught him or taught her. You're marrying all those things. You're marrying their culture, the things they believe about how a married couple should behave, or how a husband should interact, how a wife should interact. So it's really important that you understand and you learn as much as you can about that culture, about that family, and figure out where you can fit, so that there can be this consciousness of, okay, we're going to have to cut ties here and adjust. And then there's the consciousness of, oh no, I want to embrace this and merge and be a part of this. And so you know where the boundaries need to be set and you know where the doors need to be. So I hope what you've learned from this video is that getting married and thinking about your finances, it means so many different things. And I'm not talking about the wedding. I'm talking about doing life together as a couple. What will change? The high level things that will change in your financial situation. How the two of you will decide to build wealth. How you'll plan for retirement and death. How you'll do your estate planning for the future and for your beneficiaries in the future. How you're going to handle your taxes. How you're going to manage your debt. Debt for one is debt for all. And then finally, how you're going to weave your family obligations into this. It can be so beautiful if you get a lot of these things right. So I hope that this has helped today. And I just want you to remember, in all things, be humble and learn. Bye for now. Hi everybody, my name is Bookie and welcome to the Good Eve channel. And today I'm going to be talking about 5 steps to take in 2020 to build wealth. So at the Good Eve channel, we like to talk about lifestyle and building wealth. And look, money, let's be honest, it's one topic that everybody thinks about, but nobody seems to really want to talk about unless they're lying or they're bragging or they're showing off. So that's what we're talking about here at Good Eve. Before I get started on this topic though, I'd like you to give me a like, that's a thumbs up, and I'd like to also ask you to subscribe and share this video. Since it's 5 steps I'm sharing, share it with 5 people. Let them know, let's see, people who you think need to take these steps to get serious about building their wealth, or perhaps people who are already taking these steps, and to let them know they're doing the right thing. So what are you going to learn, or what can you take away from today? Well, I think that one of the things you're going to get is to think about, are these some steps that you are taking? Are there a few things you might be missing out? And if you're doing all the right things and these steps are not complete enough, do you know what I love? I love criticism. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? Which steps do you think we shouldn't do? Which steps do you think are missing, are probably more important than the 5 that I have shared here today? I'd love to hear from you. All right, so the first step that I'd like to see you take in 2020 to build your wealth is to track your expenses. There's something I will always say, and I learned it from my time being an HR manager in a multinational. I learned that whatever doesn't get tracked doesn't get done. I saw it time and time again with people who were trying to reach targets or were working in a job. They would work, they'd come in every day, they wouldn't go home early, they wouldn't take extra breaks. But it was amazing how someone who could put in that much time could still get the equivalent of a D or an F, or even be asked and terminated from a business, even though they put in all these hours. Why? A lot of times it always stemmed from setting goals. They had goals set for them, they were not aware, they didn't think it mattered, they just did what they thought they were supposed to do on their job. And sometimes there's a misalignment with that. And even when they knew, you had another category of guys who knew what they were supposed to do, but guess what? They weren't tracking to see if they were doing it fast enough. They weren't tracking to see if they were meeting up with the goals that they needed to do to perform. And so they were shocked by the time they would be aware. It would be at the end of the year when it was time to do a performance review. And they were, shock horror. I can't believe, but I've been coming to work every day. I come on time. The truth is, if you don't know what the goalpost is, you could be playing basketball and thinking, I scored 100 baskets. But if the game that's being played is football and you're supposed to be scoring goals, guess what? You can score 1,000 baskets. You're still going to lose the football game. So tracking your expenses is very, very key. In 2022, I want to see you track your expenses. Write them down. What is your budget goal? What should you be spending? Are you on track? So when I say track your expenses, it doesn't mean write down what you spent. That's just step 1. It means also track it and compare it with your budget, with the goals you've set. And if you've not set goals, in fact, make sure you set your money and your budgetary goals for the year. So step 2, I'd like you to see you build multiple streams of income. Look, one of the first things I'm going to tell you is building streams of income. It starts in little baby steps, little incremental actions. let's say, for instance, you've always liked to bake and to cook, and you decide as a second business to say, you know what, I'm going to make pots of soup. I'm just going to say it. You might even be a guy. There are lots of men who cook way better than women do. You like food, you like to cook. You say, look, I'm going to cook pots of soup. You create an Instagram page and you put it out there. You want to order a pot. I don't cater. All I will do is give you delicious pots of soup. Family of 6 can eat it. That's an easy business because you already like to cook. You're already cooking at home. When you're making food for yourself, you can just make for this other person, package it nicely, get a dispatch rider to deliver to their house, right? When you start doing that, you're not going to double your money in 1 month. You're not going to double and make enough money to say, oh, I'm balling, I can quit my job in 6 months. Most likely not. You're going to have to learn to deal with customers. You're going to learn to deal with the delivery guys. You're going to have to learn where to procure high quality ingredients at a very good and reasonable cost so you can make enough profit. You're going to make some mistakes. Some people are going to reject your soup maybe because there was sand in it. It wasn't well washed or something. You're going to have all these challenges. And while you're learning the ropes of that second stream of income to stabilize and find a way to automate it as much as possible so you can do your day job, but also start building that stream. Maybe when you start doing the providing of food, making of pots of soup, you realize that I have a really good source from the market. I can provide it to a second business and say, okay, we can provide you fresh ingredients. Because you're already doing the market, or you already have a really reliable, path that you've created for sourcing the materials. That can be your third stream of income. So there's so many things that you can look at, but you have to be patient. That's why I said start building. I didn't say stop prospering or profiting or balling or spending money from your multiple streams of income. That is not what I said. What I said is you need to start building it. Building it. And the truth is, most of the most lucrative streams of income look like they're not going to make money when they start. They look like the profit or the gain from those businesses are so small. It's almost embarrassing to admit that that's what you're doing. But you stay the course. If you're a woman and you know about intimate things, underwear, lingerie, and that's an area you can start, and you like to have on weekends, have lingerie parties, invite people in, take pictures of it nicely. I didn't say on your body because I know we're conservative here. And share it to your friends. Oh, this season is coming up. Try this. We have it in different sizes. If it's something you're interested and passionate about, it could become a source of income for you. But you have to be patient. You build wealth slowly, and you most certainly will build businesses slowly. But be consistent and persistent. So 2022, I want to see you building multiple streams of income. Step 3, invest the money that you have saved. So I'm assuming a lot here. I'm assuming that you have some money that's saved and it's just sitting fallow. So if you've not saved, first you need to start saving in 2022. But I want to believe for those of us who have some savings, I want you to be more intentional about investing that money immediately. Have a plan even before you've earned it. The next pot of money or the next sum of money I'm going to get, if I get 100 naira, I'm going to put it here. Have a plan for where it's going to go. Don't let the 100 naira come in and then you're like, what should I do with this 100 naira? I can assure you, if you do that, 100 naira will not make it into the investment. Maybe even 10 naira will not make it into the investment. So I want you to have a plan before the money comes in. Once I get a next amount of money, a bonus, my salary, I've paid all my expenses, and I have a little bit left over. In fact, before your salary comes in, assume this is what should be left over. You should know that 10%, if it's 100 naira, 30 naira will be left over. Know where it's going. And I want part of where it's going to be an investment that will give you a return. Okay? So that is step 3, invest your saved money. Point 4, educate yourself. Now, one thing I find is that no matter how much the market stays the same, when I say the investment market or in the investment environment stays the same, it also really changes. There's even educating yourself about all the scams that are out there. Let's say you're conservative, you're just going to do bonds and T-bills and conservative, stocks, blue chip stocks, fine. And you've decided that, that's what I'm going to limit myself to, and I'm going to focus on that and be consistent with that. But you can educate yourself on how the blue chips blue chip companies are performing. There was a period of time 15 years ago, there was a particular blue chip company, Cadbury, where it was discovered that they had fraudulent. I believe they had been publishing erroneous performance reports. Previous to that, Cadbury was considered in every way to be a blue chip company in Nigeria in terms of stock. I'm not saying they're not a blue chip company now. However, you can't compare the stock price of Cadbury and how it's performed to Nestle in Nigeria and how it's performed. Why? Because of that issue. So educating yourself to understand the trends, to understand the history, even if what you're choosing to do is T-bills, money market, mutual funds, and stock, direct blue chip stocks, there's a lot to educate yourself. Read, keep reading, keep being curious. If you have a stock, let's say you're investing in 20 blue chip stocks, take it upon yourself to find out, to set Google alerts. So if anything happens with those companies, you're the first to know. And then also, why I always say avoid scams, educate yourself to know what the new scams in town, because they're getting better. These guys are getting better at packaging, putting together these scams in such a way that when you see it, you even think they're more legitimate than the legitimate businesses. So you need to understand, am I being marketed to? Are they marketing rubbish to me? Is this legit? Is it not? Educate yourself. Talk to investment advisors. Talk to friends. Read. Watch videos like mine on YouTube. There's so many of us that are trying to come up in the community. Unfortunately, they're not a lot from the Nigerian community, but educate yourself. So when you hear something and it sounds too good to be true, you know what? If you don't know anywhere else to go, drop me a question on Instagram. I will look into it for you. But there are a lot of places you can go to, investment advisors you can go to, talk to them one-on-one, and they will talk about these things, and they'll be able to say, look, even if they don't know, they'll say, look, what are the returns? You know what, those returns, just know, high reward, high risk, high likelihood you lose your money. And by high, I mean 95%. So sometimes when you're chasing return on investment, remember that return of your investment is also very important. Step 5, on the last step already. Collaborate and partner. And you know, this is so important. When I say this, collaborate and partner, you can come together, but you must do it wisely. Collaborate and partner. If a group of you can come together to buy land, so maybe you're trying to buy land and someone says, I'm selling only 6 plots and I want to sell it in bulk. Do you have a group of you that can come together and buy the 6, but you get your individual allocations? I didn't say you have to remain together, or maybe you're trying to buy a plot of land, you only have enough money for the equivalent of half or a third. Can you partner with 2 other people and you guys demarcate it into 3? There's so many things you can do. Sometimes we're always waiting until I can do it by myself or alone, and so we go slower. There's so many opportunities to work with investment clubs, legitimate investment clubs, where you can get a lot of information, and there are even opportunities there to collaborate and partner and build. So definitely in 2022, I want you to begin to look into this. Look for people with good, who have good reputations, who have integrity, who are honest, and they have a track record. Very important. Sometimes someone just says, oh, I'm in the church, I'm leading the choir, and you see this person, but do you ask about their track record? Remember, the church is meant for sinners. It's not meant for saints. A lot of people who are in the church, me, I'm not excluded, are sinners. So that they have learned to sing very well and worship God does not mean they've overcome the fact that they're very bad with money or that they lack integrity when it comes to money. So understand that you need to know about someone's track record. Anybody that's uncomfortable when you're collaborating and you're partnering is uncomfortable putting together an agreement, run away. Is resistant to putting things in writing, even if it's not a contract, run away. Cannot provide you a track record of people they've worked with to achieve and collaborated, be wary, watch more. But this is definitely, when you get this thing right, it multiplies your effort. The word says that 1 will slay 1,000, but 2 will slay 10,000. So the multiplication effect, the multiplier effect of partnering and collaborating cannot be emphasized enough. Now, because you've stayed this long, I have a bonus step that I'd like you to take to build wealth in 2022. And then I want you to speak to and consistently, at least once every 2 months, touch base with professionals, investment professionals, reputable ones, at least quarterly. Quarterly at worst, but ideally every 2 months. Have a conversation with them. How is the market shifting? What opportunities are appearing? What are their views on some of these investments you've heard about? Don't only say, well, I don't want to talk to them because they're going to market something to me. Of course, they're going to try and sell something to you, but it doesn't mean these guys have access to a lot of the research. They have access to a lot of deals and opportunities, commercial papers that may not even be visible to the general public. I want you to speak with them more frequently. Now I've covered my 5 steps and I gave you a bonus one. I want to thank you for listening today. And as I always say, be humble and learn. Have a good night. Hi everybody, my name is Bookie and I'm here with the Good Eve channel. And today I'm going to be talking about coupling. So how do you grow together? How do you come together financially as a couple? And I just want to talk about 5 particular steps that you should consider to take if you're a couple to grow together financially. So why should you listen to this video? Well, I'll say I've been married for 15 years. And I think I know a little bit about coming together as a couple. And we've done everything. We've kept our finances separate. We've merged, we've unmerged, we've remerged. And, the journey of it, I wish when I was starting out, I had really good advice in terms of what to do. Because culturally, where I live in Nigeria, most people tend to keep their finances completely separate and secret. And over time, my husband and I realized that we only began to make real headway when we came together financially. So obviously I'm a proponent of you should come together financially, and I will give a caveat. You come together financially when you know that your husband is not, or your partner is not abusive, is also willing to be completely transparent, and is responsible, i.e. both of you have learned over time to come together, make a commitment together, and work your plans together. Now, I must confess, over time, we were never good at this at the beginning. I remember sometimes I would have a plan and I'd go off and run it, and I'd go and invest in some of these crazy things because I always loved investing. And my husband was more conservative, but he's more of a spender. So he'd spend things on things we needed for the family, but probably not at the time that we needed. We could have waited a few more months, sometimes years, before we got those items. And so I'd be like, where's all the money? And he'd be like, well, I spent it on this, and it was legitimately spent. But I just felt, maybe in my opinion, so you can see there was so much misalignment. And obviously, it would probably have caused quite a bit of tension. So in order to grow together as a couple, it's important that both of you get on the same page financially. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So before I start listing off my 5 points, I do want to ask that you like and you subscribe. And if you have subscribed, I'd like to also ask you to share this video with 5 other couples, either people getting married soon, newly married, or who've been married for a while, that you feel could benefit from this advice. And even if you think they're perfect at it, you know what? Send it to them to criticize. I'd like to get feedback on their views about, do you think couples should come together financially or not? Well, now I'm going to get on with the video, and thank you again for tuning in. So the first thing I wanted to say is that as a couple, you need to come together and have an emergency fund. A lot of times in marriages, we feel that, one of the things I'm so glad about is if I ever need money in a jam, I can just ask my husband. I need money quickly. I need money desperately. I can just ask my wife. But they may also have other people who are considering them as emergencies. What about if they also, at the same time you happen to need that emergency money, they also need it too? And how come you guys are having emergencies and you don't realize he's having an emergency and your emergency is his emergency? You guys should be aligned. You should be able to see that if this thing is coming down the pipe, we both should be able to see that this emergency is coming and it affects both of us equally. So definitely having a communal emergency fund of at least the equivalent of 1,000 US dollars should be a goal. Now, that will take care of most off the cuff emergencies you're going to see. Medical emergencies if they're sudden, vehicle emergencies if they're sudden, health, family emergencies, extended family emergencies. That amount of money should be able to take care of that. And it will take some time to save up to that level depending on how much you earn. But definitely you want to be looking at that. Longer term, you want to try and put together enough money to cover 1 year worth of your monthly expenses. Now, remember, you have to apply monthly allocation to certain expenses that aren't monthly. So for instance, if you have children or if you pay rent, your rent may be annualized. So you need to split it into 12 months and save the equivalent of that. Your children's school fees, for instance, are termly. So you need to be thinking every month, I'm going to put away enough to build a 1 year fund to cover, for instance, my children's school fees for a year, to cover my rent for a year, and all the other bills and key expenses. So I didn't say exactly what you earn. I'm assuming, I want to believe that whatever you're earning, you don't spend all of it on your expenses. Some of it you save and some of it you spend on fun and entertainment. But of the critical expenses, the things that will render you homeless, render you hungry, render your children out of school, you need to make sure that you have enough to cover those expenses for 1 year and put them in something as a couple that is pretty liquid. Don't put this in an investment that you can't break for 1 year, because unfortunately crises don't come on a schedule. You're not going to know when it's going to come. It's going to come when you least expect it. And both of you have to be in alignment with this. I remember early on for us, sometimes my husband would be the one putting money away and then I would be taking it out. And sometimes I would be putting money away to try and build this emergency fund and my husband would take it out. Both of you have to be in alignment, or else it becomes like a seesaw, a back and forth tug of war, trying to figure out and build this fund. But if both of you come together and work on it together, before you know it, maybe he will get a bonus at work that will take care of that one time and you're done. You might be the one to get the bonus at work, or you sell an item, or you have a really good sales period in your business, and all of a sudden, boom, you're able to raise the money to cover these emergency funds. But you definitely, step one is you need to get your emergency fund game in order. Short-term emergency fund, long-term emergency fund, together as a couple. The second point I would say is you need to open a joint account. Now, this joint bank account should be especially for all the expenses and the running of the family. You know, I know a lot of women, we like this housekeeping money, sweets. You know, they just give us a check, you put it in your account, you spend some of it, you use some of it for little, you know, niceties and on and on. Some of you save some of it. But you should have a joint bank account to take care of bills and fees and expenses. And why? Anything that doesn't get measured doesn't get done. If both of you don't have a view of how much you're spending to live your lifestyle, remember point one, you're trying to save an emergency fund for the 12-month period. Your husband may be sitting and feeling like, well, you know, I think 5 million naira will do it. But if you're spending separately from him and he doesn't have a view of how much you're really spending in a year, you might be spending 3 million. And so 3 million will get you there. You might be spending 12 million, but he doesn't know. And so because he doesn't know, or he's spending money that way and you don't know, you think that, oh, we don't spend any money. God forbid, if he's having problems at work and loses the job, we'll be fine. In fact, we have enough savings for 5 years. But you don't know that maybe he has other expenditures, other commitments he's made. Maybe he's building a house for an uncle who he loves very much. And all of a sudden you think that there's this pool of savings and it's nowhere. So having visibility, whatever investment accounts you guys open, whatever bank accounts you guys open, you're still okay to have your individual bank account. I didn't say you can't have your own individual, but the bulk of your income and the bulk of your wealth should be held together. It's also good for when you think about estate reasons. Should one of you pass away, it defaultly goes to the second party. Things that are in joint accounts together. So you really want to make sure that you both have visibility on what the other one is doing. I know unpopular position for some, but I'm telling you, it's wisdom. There's no point, my brothers who are listening to this, in you making all this money, and then if something happens to you, you thought you've built this house and you've set up this system and you've done all these things to take care of your children and your wife. And at the end of the day, they don't even know that you have it. They don't even know that it's there. I think a lot of times people have this attitude that, oh, and when it comes to inheritance, I want it to be a surprise. So if anything happens, my children will be shocked to discover I have this pot that I'm leaving for them. Most likely that pot will be stolen. Listen to me, I'm a lawyer. Most likely that pot will be stolen, because what people don't know is theirs will remain in the banks, and the banks won't call your children. They won't call your beneficiaries. They won't call your estates. They will sit there and wait for the estate to come. If you like, leave it there for 20 years. Leave it there for 100 years. The bank will sit there on that money and they will use it and make money. And anytime your family member shows up, exactly what was there is what they will give them. They will not account for the inflation. They will not account for time value lost for the money. They will not notify your beneficiaries. And your beneficiaries can't know what you have if they don't know where it is. Yes, I know there's another side where people are afraid that if people know, they may wreak violence on them and harm them and all. But well, I think that's where, as human beings, while we're making money and earning income, we have to also equally spend time knowing our children, knowing our spouses, knowing our family, really not believing who we believe them to be, knowing who they are and looking critically at, this is how this person behaved in this scenario. So if I'm not here, this is how this person is going to behave in this scenario. Their behavior has already shown you, but a lot of times we discount it. Anyway, let me not go too far. Joint accounts are really, really important. And it's not just for men, this is also for women. There are a lot of women that are running businesses that are doing very well. Their husbands have no clue. They have no idea how well they're doing. And they're doing it because, well, I want the freedom that if I want to do something for my mom, I want to do something for my dad, I want to do... Okay, then I agree. Both of you should have personal allowances. If you're both doing it well enough, have an amount. And from that allowance that you give each other, you can go mad. If you want to spend all of it and give it to your mom or your dad, feel free. If you want to use it to go on a trip, feel free. If you want to use it for whatever, to do hair or to go to a spa, whatever you want to use it for, and the personal things you take care of yourself, then you use it for that. Both of you can agree that. And then you can agree, whatever I'm using my own personal allowance for is my business. So there are ways around that, but joint accounts, very important. Third thing you need to do as a couple is save for your children's university. So rule of thumb that I propose when it comes to putting away for your children's university is you should have a bucket in your income that you've allocated for your children's fees. And you have to start saving for university now. There's an assumption that many people make is that, oh, let's say I had my children, you're a man, you had your children when you were 32. By the time that child is going to university at 16, you will be, almost 50, you'll be 48. And there's this assumption that, oh, yes, at that time, whatever I'm earning at 48 will pay for my children's college. But you realize that 48 is just 7 years away from retirement. So, and if you have more than 1, 2, 3 kids, your last child will probably be starting university when you are retiring. So you need to start saving for college now, when they're little, when they're younger. So my rule of thumb, that a way you can apply to do that, you say, but well, I want to send them to the best possible school I can afford. Perfect. The best possible school you can afford. So let's say what you're earning in a month is 100 naira. And what you've allocated for school fees for your 3 kids is, let's say it is 20 naira. And that 20 naira per month times 3 months comes to 60 naira. That's what you've allocated for your, and I'm just using these figures for ease of calculation. And so you've said, okay, 60 naira is what I can afford to spend for my children's school fees. And I'll send them to the best school I can afford for 60 naira. You're wrong. Divide that 60 naira in half. The best school you can send them is the one that is 30 naira. Then the remaining 30 naira, you put it away for university. Simple rule of thumb. And be at peace with, don't feel guilty because, oh, I wish I could send them to the school of... No, because when it's time for them to get to college, get to university, you don't want to break their hearts and they're expecting to go to a certain type of university. They've gone to all the private schools where all their classmates are going to that same type of university, and you're tapped out, and you begin to realize that I can't send them to this private university or to this foreign university because I need to make sure that my retirement is set and it's settled. And I realize that, you know what, the way things are going, the young whippersnappers that are coming up behind me, they're snapping at my heels. It's just because the business likes me, I'm going to make it to this business at 55. I need to begin to aggressively put away money for retirement. Remember, it's children, and this is Nigeria, we help our children get married. Children are still going to get married. You're still going to do a nice wedding for them at your whatever income level within your budget. There's so many other bills that are still coming up. So you can help yourself, your future self, by saving that money today. So both of you come together as a couple and begin to put towards your children's college fund. You'll be amazed how that joint effort will go such a far distance. Point 4, this is another step I think that you should take as a couple. Point 4, this is another step I think you should take as a couple, is you need to have a monthly budget and discuss it monthly, at least, if not bi-weekly. How you're going, how you're tracking, how you're performing on it. It's really important to have a plan and let it be written down. Don't let it be based on assumption. Oh, of course I assume that we're going to spend, that 20 naira a month, that 20 naira equivalent a month of education. Don't assume. It should be written. It should be clear that this is our 100% pot. This is what goes to education. This is what goes to housekeeping. This is what goes to retirement. It should be clear. Both of you should be aligned and be working towards that and agree it. It's what the two of you agree that can work for you. You start with that. Many of you maybe spend a few years doing it and you see, okay, this is the progress we made. Honey, do you know we could make more progress if instead of only saving 10%, can we double our savings? Income has increased and you say, you know what, really we should have, and you do that. But if you're not watching the numbers, if you're not tracking the progress, I said it's what gets monitored that gets done. If you don't have a baseline, and you can't see how you did in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and you're just going by how I feel and the things you see around you. Oh, we have a nicer car. Oh, we've moved to another nicer part of town. Sometimes you can delay some of those moves because you're trying to reach a financial threshold. So instead of doing it in year 2 of your marriage, maybe if you wait until year 5, you'll be in a better fiscal position because you've been able to save up to do it. That's what a budgetary conversation on a monthly basis does for both of you. It also helps you early in your careers to think about the offers. So if you're in a job and it's really comfortable, but maybe the pay or the income is quite poor, and you have an opportunity to take an aggressive move because of the benefit of compounding your return and looking at, okay, this is where we're trying to get to, this is the shortfall we're seeing, you may have to just take that plunge and take the more aggressive step and leave the more comfortable space, because both of you are looking at the numbers and both of you realize, okay, if I'm going to take this step, it means I'm coming home late. Someone else is going to have to take up the additional responsibilities I can't have at home. All of this stems from your budgetary conversation. So having that monthly conversation, so important as a couple. Getting that alignment and building and maintaining that togetherness financially is very key. Final point I want to share is develop other streams of income. One of the things that's wonderful about being a couple is if you guys decide to come together and you start, for instance, a business or a venture, if one person isn't there, the other person steps in and can be there. You have that element of teamwork. There's a scripture that says one will slay 10,000, but one will slay 1,000 and 2 will slay 10,000. They didn't say 2 will slay 2,000. So when you multiply effort and both of you are in it together, it's amazing how you can do so much more than you could do if you were just alone. So definitely this area of building an additional stream of income, both of you should research, come together, keep discussing it, listen to what's going on in the market, speak to investment. reputable investment advisors about opportunities, discuss it, keep working together. Sometimes when it comes to building a stream of income, maybe your husband has the money to invest at the right time. Maybe you have the money to invest at the right time. That's the benefit of there being two of you. So I really want to encourage you. It's really key to have multiple streams of income and begin to work on developing them one after the other after the other. All right, so those are my 5 points today on how to grow together financially as a couple. I hope you found it helpful, and I'd like to ask, please again, subscribe, like, share this video with 5 people who you think could benefit from this information. And as I always say, stay humble and learn. Bye for now. Hi everybody, my name is Bookie and I'm here with the Good Eve channel. And today I'm here to discuss with you 7 bad habits that you need to quit in 2022. Now what you can expect from this video is just a discussion on, we all have areas of improvement. I mean, what is life if it's not for us to grow and learn and progress? And so, you know what, even if you can knock off one of these bad habits, if they apply to you, I think, hey, that's progress for 2022. And gradually we'll get there. So what you can expect today is for me to discuss 7 financial habits. Think about the ones that apply to you, and then let's see, maybe we can make a resolution to change them this year. So before we get started, I always want to ask, please give me a like, please hit the subscribe, and please share. I'm going to ask, since it's 7 bad habits I'm sharing, can you share this with 7 people? Just 7 people that you know who might have some of these financial bad habits. Maybe they keep coming to you when things don't work out, and they come to you to ask you to help them out. So share this with them, 7 people, this video. Thank you so much, and now let's jump into the video. So, what are bad financial habits? Well, generally, we know what a habit is. It's something you do, sometimes instinctively, sometimes without thinking, sometimes intuitively, that, well, in this case, kind of set you back financially. They don't help. In fact, they hurt your financial situation, and they probably hurt your progress. So, let me start with the first one. The first one I'm going to talk about today is spending without a plan. Look, if you don't have a plan for your money, I can assure you the advertisers have a plan for your money, your cousins have a plan for your money, your job has a plan, everyone has a plan for your money. So it's really important that you begin to work on the discipline of, okay, before I spend without thinking, one, to stop spending without thinking. But it happens to us all. Before you do that, make sure, have you taken care of all the critical things that need to happen in this month? Is this the month, for instance, that you need to pay your rent? Do you need to be setting aside money every month towards your rent? Those things, it's really important that you take care of those things before you spend, should I say, freely. So it's important to have a plan for your money and to review the plan as well and to follow the plan. All right. Point 2, trying to get rich quick. Look, there's a truth that I also talk about, and it's hard for a lot of people to accept, but the truth is, the real secret to getting wealthy, to getting rich, is that it's built slowly. Anything that's promising you high returns, quick returns, that are impossible. In every day I make $10,000. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sell you any of those. 99.999% of the time, I'm going to give room for the 0.00001. They are going to be scams, or they just don't work, or they work in principle, but that's only if the world has 1 trillion people in it. But since the world just has a few billion, it can't work. So the truth is, stop participating in get-rich-quick schemes. First of all, if you understand that wealth is built slowly and it's built over time, Don't follow something just because it's going to make you a lot of money. You're going to get burnt out. What if you hate it? But oh, it'll make me $10,000 a day. Do you like being a stock trader? Do you like looking at the screen endlessly? Do you like crunching those kind of numbers endlessly? Does it bring any joy or spark any joy in your life? If the answer is no, it's not for you. There are people who've become extremely wealthy cooking, providing food, catering events, being event planners. I mean, running schools, taking care of people's children, providing nursing services. There's so many people who are quietly making a really good income, really good money. They are wealthy, they are rich, they travel, they live a really good quality of life. They send their children to the best of schools, but they didn't make it through any of these flashy, sexy ways that people talk about. There was a lady that I remember my friend told me about that passed away, and her mom ran a pure water factory. And most people will think, pure water, we've heard about those things, they don't make money. Yes, they don't make money if you expect to make profit in the first year or the first 2 years. But she's been running it for 15 years. She gets loans from BOI. She's been able to expand, build a distribution network. I mean, and she's making very, very good money. Her children were shocked when she passed away how much money she left to them. They were shocked. They thought the daddy was the rich person in the family. They later discovered it was mommy. And it was that pure water factory that was getting it done. So building wealth is about learning the business, working on the business, protecting the business, and being consistent. It's not something that happens overnight, in 2 months, in 3 months. So anybody that's promising you that, oh, just if you do this within 1 month, I'll send you double your money. Run away, run away, run away. All right. So third bad money habit we need to stop this year is having only one source of income. That's the riskiest thing you can do. I don't care if you're a career person. You should have multiple streams of income. And another stream can be investments. It could be that you invest in stocks. It can be that those stocks pay you dividends. But you need to be deliberate about seeking out ways to have more than one income. It can be that, okay, I'm a professional. I've been doing this for 15 years. I really know a lot about financial modeling. You know what? I'm going to offer a class to teach people about financial modeling. I'm going to offer coaching to offer. You can create a course, financial modeling for non-financial managers, so that people who are business people who need that service can subscribe to you. And you know, when you're growing a second stream of income, please don't expect to make a ton of money overnight. It's also about consistency. It's also about working on that stream. It's also about building that stream. Use technology, leverage on that, be clever about it, but there's no reason why you should only have one stream of income. It's so risky. What if you lose that job? What if that business goes out of business? And then now here you are, you're vulnerable, you have no idea, you have no experience other than doing that limited, unique thing that you're doing in your organization. Please make sure you have a second stream of income. And like I said, another stream of income can be owning real estate. I invest in real estate that gives me cash flows, because that also is a source of income. So you need to be deliberate about building a second stream of income. All right, fourth bad habit that we need to stop this year is not taking good care of your health. You know, the truth is, health is the foundation and the platform for every single thing you're going to do. You have a fantastic, fabulous job. You won't if you have a heart attack. You have a flourishing business. You're making bank every day. But if you fall down and die, everything is gone. It doesn't matter. Health is wealth. And even if you don't die, what if you're alive but you're too ill to be part of it? You're too ill to enjoy it. You're too ill to spend time with your family. No. In 2022, you have to make your health a priority. Eating lots of fruits and vegetables, healthy foods, getting your supplements in, seeing the doctor, having your annual or biannual checkups frequently depending on your age. making sure that you get exercise. I'm not talking about a weight loss plan here or losing tons of weight. No, but make sure you're keeping your body moving. You make out the time, taking time to meditate. And then if you're having emotional things that are bugging you, that you're finding yourself overly worried, overly anxious, take the time to also take care of your mental health. It's so, so important. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. All these things come together to help you be your best when you come to your business and when it comes to your career. So this is an important financial habit. Why? Because yes, you're going to spend money on taking care of yourself, but I'm telling you, it's far more cost effective to take care of a preventative health situation than the cure. You don't want to spend all this profit you've been using your body recklessly and badly, and you're now going to spend all this money treating yourself because you were sick, you didn't pay attention to it, you ignored the signs, you're injured, you're tired and burnt out. So 2022, we need to take care of our health this year. Okay. Number 5, borrowing to buy instead of saving to buy. Now this, it's like interest. They say one of the 7th or the 8th wonder of the world is compound interest. But compound interest, when you're on the opposite side of it, is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. It's like a terror. So why would you borrow to buy something if you can just save to buy? Now, I'm not talking about, this is about personal finance, not business finance, because in business, sometimes you must borrow to grow a business because you're looking at trends and that window of opportunity is limited. But the truth with an individual is a lot of times you can just have the discipline of, I'm going to save, I'm going to put money away every month so that when I want to buy a new car, for instance, and I'm driving a car, let me say, for instance, like right now, for instance, the car that my kids use to go to school is about 10 years. Is it 10 years? Yeah, it's about 10 years old. Yep, it's about 10 years old. And it's, it's working, but it's giving us, the warning signs of it's going to the mechanic a little bit too much. And even though what we're fixing can be fixed, but my children, I don't want to be worried about them. I don't want to have a breakdown. The warning signs have already been there. But the truth is I've had this car for 10 years and I knew I was going to have to change it. I'm in overtime right now. I should have been saving all along with a plan to buy a new car to get them to school. So rather than me taking a loan out to borrow that car, to buy that new car, I feel that I should save to buy the new car. So that's kind of the concept I'm trying to pitch to you is, it's a really bad habit for me to say, okay, I'm going to now borrow to buy this new car, that I'm going to owe debt, that maybe it'll take me 5 years to pay off the car. And then guess what? After that, maybe I'll get a respite of maybe 3 or 4 years. And then I'm in the same boat again, where I can put in the discipline right now or explore other options that allow me to save up before I buy that new car. My children's school, for instance, offers school bus service. So let's say I haven't been saving, and I must say I don't have a car fund, so I haven't been saving. See, your money coach is not perfect herself. But what I'll probably do is put them on the school bus and then begin to save towards the car. And so once I've saved up enough, I'll either leave them on the school bus and maybe we won't get the extra car, or at that time we'll get the extra car. But I can't lie to you, I'm starting that saving. Once this video, I'm done with it, I'm going to start saving for that car, me and their dad, because it's already been giving us too many red flags that its time is up. Okay, the 6th bad habit that I'd like to talk about for this year, that I'd like us to all think about giving up or quitting, is paying your children's school fees late. There's so many reasons why this is such a bad idea. And I know people will say, well, you don't know the obligations I have. And you're right. If it has happened once or twice, it doth happen to us all. But routinely planning to pay your children's school fees late, it's just wrong. And I'll explain why. It's not even because of the schools. And I'm biased because I do have an interest in the school. And so people will say, oh, that's why. And yes, it sucks not to get that money in, but it's actually thinking about your children. The truth is, no matter how you think that you've shielded your children, if you are routinely paying your children's school fees late, they know. No matter how you think, no, they don't know, I've spoken to the school. Look. Once your children get past primary 3 or the 3rd grade, they know. They know. And it causes this kind of anxiety, this fear, this unsettled feeling within them. And it can affect their confidence. If you have a child that's either very troublesome, highly, difficult, or extremely withdrawn, and you know that you constantly pay fees late, you're 2 weeks late. You're like, no, the first 2 weeks don't matter. No, they do. You're supposed to pay before you put them in. Before the term starts, get your money together. So you know that you're going to have to pay school fees every January. So start saving in November for your January fees, because you're going to spend money. In Nigeria, we like to dance, we like to enjoy, we like to badun, have a good time in December. Fine, I didn't say you shouldn't do that, but make sure your money's right for January. Then you get it ready in November. But if you're consistently, it's almost exam period and you've not finished paying. It's midterm, you've not finished paying. No, they just sent me a letter. No, they don't send me letters. They just send text messages to my school. I remember a story of a kid whose parents felt he didn't know. He comes to school. He's so upset. He's upset with the school authorities because he feels they've been discussing his financial situation with his son. And in this school, they took the decision not to pull children out of class when parents owed. And it turns out that his son found out by going through his phone. He was going through his dad's phone, maybe playing a video game, and a message came from the school directly to him, reminding him to pay, that he hadn't finished. And the son was excited to see, that's a message from my school. Let me see, click. And he clicked on the notification and saw all the reminders from his dad. And I mean, he had so much confidence. My dad is this, my dad is that, my dad is this, and kids they're so proud of us. But when he read that, he was racked with shame. And it affected him for many years. So please, that one habit for our kids, if you're paying fees for your own children, even for other people, let's please pay on time and pay in full. Okay? I think that's a bad habit. If you're a partaker of it, please stop it in 2022. Number 7, spending through your savings on wants and whims. You want that new, someone's getting married, you need Ashoebi, but you need to pay your water bill, you buy the Ashoebi. Someone is, the girls are going on a girls trip. You want to go, you want to let them know that you can, kick it with the big boys. And so you drain your savings that you've been saving for your rent at the end of the year, and you go on the trip. Don't worry, God will provide. Constantly spending your savings on whims. If you're saving up for a need, that's fine. Like I gave the example of a car. But if you're just doing it because, my friend posted that my daughter is having a party. Her daughter is having a party, and it's offending with Fendi is the theme. And I need to go and buy Fendi. My daughter has to be Fendied out. And so because of that, you go and liquidate your savings that you need to save. Let's say for your children's summer holiday, which you had made a priority. You want to give your children exposure and whatnot. Maybe you've been saving for this trip for a couple of years, and you go and take from that and deplete that savings bank. It's a really bad habit, because you know what? You'll never get to that goal that you're trying to save up for, because there are always going to be wants. There are always going to be whims. There are always going to be people that you need to impress. There are always going to be people who are going to try and oppress you. You just have to chart your own course. So I want us to try this year to do on looking. If you know that you're triggered into spending on a whim because you're constantly on Instagram or TikTok, you know what? Unfollow some of these people. Unfriend them on Facebook. Set your eyes. It's okay to have a second Instagram profile where you have just inspirational things. Business ideas. Follow people who talk about business ideas, legitimate ones, who give you motivational pieces, who talk about fitness. You can actually curate a separate Instagram, and that's the one you can look at every day when you're trying to unleash your, unload or release stress. And the one that has your friends and family, because I can't tell you, I like gist. So I can't unfriend and unfollow people like that. You can have a second profile that you read, and then on weekends in limited capacities, you want to get caught up, you now go to the one that has your friends, your families, your enemies, your frenemies, everybody, and then you go and get, oh, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. Do that, but limit your exposure to some of these things because they will trigger you and they'll tempt you to do it. So for staying this long, I have one more bonus bad financial habit that I'd like us to think about quitting in 2022. And that is stop being a financial superhero. Stop rescuing everybody financially. Stop it. You know, little drops of water an ocean makes. You may feel that, oh, I earn so much money, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you. But the problem is, every time you help them, then they become more dependent on you and more dependent on you, and then entitlement appears, and it's so much stress. In fact, you know what? There's a video that I just released called Stop Being a Financial Superhero. I want you to check it out. So that's Bookie for today. Thank you for listening. And remember, as I always say, be humble and learn. Bye for now. Hi, everybody. This is Bookie, and I'm here for the Good Eve channel. And today, I'm going to continue on sharing business ideas that can make you good money in Nigeria. So I've already done the first 4 of this part 2 of the part 1 segment. And so in the first segment, I talked about being a tour guide, or offering tour guide services, tutoring services, consulting services, and an online clothing boutique. Now, in this segment, I'm going to talk about a few other ideas, and the ideas that are useful and helpful because they serve clear needs that are unaddressed or improperly addressed or just not sufficiently addressed in the Nigerian economy and market. Now, why should you consider Nigeria? And I know you've probably watched the additional videos, but just in case this is your first time watching, it's because, number one, we're a market of over 2 million people. We're located in Africa. The climate is good. The people are warm. And culturally, we love to live life. We love to be aspirational. We love to progress. We love to strive. We're hardworking people. And you know what? We're an economy where there are a lot of infrastructural challenges. You name it. Is it power? Is it water? Is it what can you think of that exists in more established economies? We need more services, we need more help, we need to take it to the next level, we need to expand many even basic services. There's opportunities to offer a private element to it. Is it transportation? Is it telecommunications? You name it. Nigeria is the place to be. And with this exploding and also young population, 70% of our population, I believe, are under 30 years old. I was going to say 25, but at least are under 30 years old. It means we have a young, vibrant population who are going to have kids, who are going to fall in love, who are going to need to own homes or live in house. There's so many things. They're going to need to wear clothes. They're going to need medical services. They're going to need all the things that living a new life requires. So it's definitely a lot of opportunity here if you can just focus in and pick your path and work with it and dig deep. So what is the first idea I'm going to talk about in this video? Being an event planner. I already told you, Nigerians love to live. We love to live life. We love to dance. You know how many dance moves Nigerians have come up with? You know, the eating, I mean, so many. We love to dance. We love to party. We love to celebrate. It's so important to us to celebrate every milestone. And when we celebrate, we love to invite the whole community. It's not unheard of in Nigeria to attend a party with over 1,000 people because we've invited all and sundry. Just come, just show up. So being an event planner is really, really important. You can't plan and execute an event even as small as 100 people, and yeah, that can be small in Nigeria, without having someone who's going to coordinate it. Now, what you find is some people will tag on event planning and they're also catering, or they tag on event planning and they provide chairs or canopies. But you know what? This continues to be a very needed area. Do you know your average Nigerian wedding has 3 days of major events? 3 separate days. So being an event planner here is very important. So one of the things that's great about this opportunity, as with others, you have different segments. If you're doing corporate event planning, there's a place for you. If you're doing wedding event planning, primarily there's a place for you. If you're doing family events like birthdays, anniversaries, funerals, there's a place for you. But also, if you're doing small, high luxury events, there's a place for you. If you're just doing, I specialize, my strength is in outdoor garden events, there's a place for you. And what I love about Nigeria is, what people don't understand is we collaborate a lot in Nigeria. Yes, we compete, but we collaborate. And so what you'll find is that even if you've decided that my area is just going to be in this garden area, other event planners will come and they'll pull on your expertise. They'll pull you into those projects. You'll get a share. You make it clear, this is what it's going to cost to use my equipment, or this is what it's going to cost to use my time, and they'll pull you in. So even if you decide to say, my specialty is on water events, that is my specialty. I hold mind-blowing events on water. I'm telling you, an event planner is like, look, I'm not going to buy boats. I don't have the relationship with boat owners. I don't know how to put it together. I don't know all the safety things that are required. They'll come and they'll consult with you. They may even just pull you into the event and say, look, can you just handle the event and just give me my own share? They'll take a percentage of the work, and then if they need to, and you agree, once you agree, if you don't need any resources from them, you handle it. If you need some resources for them, in addition to giving them a share, you agree. And that way, it's so collaborative, it's so vibrant. They need richer, more interesting experiences. Nigerians love events, and we love our events to be memorable experiences for all our guests. So there's so much opportunity in the event planner space. Definitely, this is an area where you want to consider if you have an interest and desire going into. Point 6, an online specialty food store. And I've spoken about this again, but I'll talk about it right now. There are a lot of kids with advances in technology and in medical knowledge. We're discovering that there are a lot of allergies and health conditions that we just didn't know about before. Before, maybe the belief would be, oh, it was one uncle in the village, he looked at the child and the child died. Maybe that child had a seafood allergy and you kept putting crayfish, which is dried shrimp, inside the child's food because you like dried crayfish and you didn't realize you shouldn't give that to a child younger than a certain area, and you didn't realize in your family you guys have the predisposition to be allergic to seafood. So there's so many things that we're discovering now. Maybe you're in your family, you thought, oh, we always get rashes. Maybe it's a gluten allergy. Maybe it's celiac disease. Maybe it's... So there's just so much. We thank God for that awareness and so much more knowledge. And so you'll find that there are larger segments of people who need specialty food items that are not available widely. They either need to be made specially, or they need to be gotten from from different countries as food alternatives, so that they can also have a good quality of life and enjoy their food, but at the same time avoid allergens and certain things that are affecting them. Even with the knowledge we have about diabetes and high blood pressure, there are a lot of things. A lot of people are avoiding sugar now. They're using substitutes, or foods are being prepared in a different way, or they're even eating completely different meals that provide them that satisfaction without eating some of the foods that have triggered and affected their blood sugar. So there's so much more knowledge now, and with that has come a large demand for these goods. Gone are the days, especially with the pandemic, where a lot of people couldn't travel the way they used to, where people would just say, oh, when I travel, I'll buy 3, 4, 5 suitcases. Some of these foods that you even need are highly perishable. So offering a specialist service that maybe offers specialist fruits, vegetables that even if you bring, they'll go bad after 2 weeks. So you need a good supplier that can consistently supply some of these varieties for you. If you're not supposed to eat, for instance, potatoes or very starchy food, you want to eat some alternative vegetables that can be prepared in a similar way so you don't feel so deprived. You need to be able to get those, and that's where you could come in. If you've had a family member, maybe your dad had diabetes, or your father had a lot of health conditions, and so you spent a lot of time growing up helping him to manage his health condition and cook for him, you are in luck. this is a business for you. You already have the knowledge, you already have the know-how, you already have the interest, you already have the deep experience. You've been doing it since you were 15. Guess what? Why not make money from it? Why not? You know where you can get the suppliers. If it's in Yabilisu, if it's from Jos, if it's from where you can get all these fresh things, you just take in your orders and just manage your clients to say, okay, I deliver only on Tuesdays, all orders must be in on Fridays. You can start it part-time. Even if you're just starting out in your career, then you know that, okay, I deliver only on Saturdays or Sundays. You can use your weekend to do all your deliveries and be done. After a while, you can even get someone to handle the deliveries for you. And they have a place where you live, they can deliver the items to. Just think about, it's really important how to preserve them. But if you've already been doing this, you know how to preserve them. You know how to get those things to them looking fresh, looking lovely, looking wonderful. There are a lot of young women and men who are making really good money doing market runs and shopping for people. But here I'm talking about specialist items, not the general things that everybody can get, but letting people who know that they need certain specialist items, maybe sweeteners, maybe additives, different things that are really hard to get consistently. You can become that one-stop shop for them. All right, number 7, a personal assistant. So with this, I'm actually talking about a virtual personal assistant, one that you're not fully dedicated to just one person working in a job. Look, one thing, I don't know why this became a big trend in organization design. Okay, I do, but I don't think the reason was valid. But in Nigeria, you need help with a capital H. You need help getting some things. You need help receiving items. You need help, writing paper. You need help in all facets of your life. And a lot of us have a lot of personal life admin, especially if you have kids, especially if you have a spouse, especially if you have aged parents who you care for and you want to take care of. You need someone who can help you to take care of all those bits and bobs. You can just give them a list and they pull everything together and get everything where it needs to go, when it needs to go. You need someone to do a little bit of research. This is not deep research, but just research on which is the best hospital to go to, which is the best party planner to use, which is the best party pack that the kids like. There are little things, they all add up, and you just don't have the time all the time. You need someone to help, and this is where a virtual or a remote personal assistant can really, really help you. You just come up with your list of tasks, you specify what you'd like, have a conversation with them, and if you've been working with the person for a while, they understand, oh, this is what you expect, this is your taste, this is your style, this is your quality, and you don't have to be seated in their offices. There are tons of people who work in offices, in banks, in oil companies, in manufacturing firms, and they need this type of support, and they need someone that has puts a little bit of intelligence into it. But they can't afford to pay you full time to be with them. You can serve in this way 10, 15 people, even if it's about sorting out their lunches. You can help them order. Once they just give you the money, you can help them order and make sure their lunches are delivered to them. I remember working in a job about 10 years ago, and I was so busy, I would always forget to order lunch. And once we were done with meetings and sessions and everything, I would be starving. And I remember then I had this wonderful assistant. She was so fantastic. She would send me, she knew I liked roasted chicken and grilled fish. Either or was fine for me, with usually a salad on the side. And I remember sometimes she would just send me a message when I was at a meeting. She said, is it chicken or fish? Do you know I was so busy sometimes I couldn't even answer. I wouldn't even be able to remember to check to say chicken, not fish, or fish, not chicken. And she would just take the initiative and say, you know what, I know Bookie likes chicken or fish. She would just say, okay, she had fish yesterday, I'm gonna get her chicken today. And I can't lie to you, I was just so grateful when I'd come out of those sessions, just like, is there any food? There's food. And I would just eat it with so much gratitude. So honestly, personal assistants are lifesavers in this market. If you are smart, if you are young, if you're energetic, and if you like to work with people, I'm telling you, it's a really good area where you can offer services. Sit down, put some structure around it, let them know the services that you offer. So if it's going to be a one-day thing, if it's going to be a monthly thing you want to think about, look at it and decide, okay, how many clients do I feel realistically I can service. And then you also work with vendors. You don't have to go to the market yourself. You can have a vendor do that for you, and the vendor will even take care of delivery right to your clients. You just follow up with the vendor, and you can let your client know, I'm getting this thing from this vendor. They're the ones that do market runs, but I'll follow up with them and I'll make sure the quality is good, and that person just wants to know that this thing is going to get to their house on time. And they know they're paying you for a service. It gives you the capacity to probably service 20, maybe even 25 people. And if you get really organized, you can bring in some friends from school or from work, or bring in a young cousin. You can get someone to help you coordinate. And then if you're really tech friendly, you can say, look, I want to be a tech friendly. You can create platforms where they just put in what they want and you just get the alerts. You don't have to spend so much energy talking. If they have any special notes, they put it in the thing. I'm telling you, this is an area, if you're young and you're an upcomer, you can make really, really good money from this. You will set your fees. And if your service is good and you're reliable, word of mouth, I promise you, if you do this business, you'll be overwhelmed within 3 months. You're good, you're consistent, you know how you're courteous, you have good customer relationship skills, as in you're polite, funny, personable. You'll have too much business. Too much, this particular area. So number 8 business idea is a home daycare. If you've had children recently, or you have a lot of young children, you're not ready to go back into the market, or for instance, you have a sister or a relative who's really good at taking care of kids and they're in your home environment, you can just convert your home into a home daycare, so that other women in the neighborhood who are nearby, who may also be young nursing mothers who want a safe place to keep their children. You find a lot of moms have to go back to work, but they don't want to take their children to a school crash environment. They want the child to be in a home environment where there are couches, where there are cushions, where it's softer, where if they want to come back and breastfeed before they leave, they want to feel like their child is in a home. They already feel guilty about it. This is an opportunity for you, especially if you're one of these moms. You know how they feel. Take your time getting a really good person. Even if you have a relative who you know is good at this, hire in additional nanny that's very good. Pay her extremely well so she's relaxed, experienced, and share that cost with several other people. It's really easy. You're not really doing much, and you can make a little bit of money, sometimes a lot of money, providing this service. Definitely think about it, especially if you live in a place that's maybe on the way to work. If you happen to be fortunate enough to be living in Ikoyi or Lekki Phase 1, in an area where a lot of Ikeja GRA, where a lot of businesses are clustered, and your home is in a very convenient place. So they're coming to work very early, they can drop the baby off with you. They're going home very late, before they leave, they can grab their child. I'm telling you, if you have a good location, because that just happens to be where you live, and you love kids, and you have a good care, you've already put down all that infrastructure, why not monetize it? This is a great opportunity. Definitely think about being a home daycare owner. And what's good about this is it's a stepping stone to prepare you if you want to now start a proper creche, or a proper nursery school, or eventually go up the ladder and start a primary school. So this is a good way to test and see, is this something I have an interest in? Do I have the capacity for it? While you also be able to give your kids the best possible care. Number 9 idea is an online social media PR agency. Now I know I can't remember his name, Tai Lopez talked about this forever and ever. And people have different opinions about Tai Lopez, how legit his ideas are, but this one is legit. People who are selling businesses online, who have online businesses, are selling goods, are selling services online, are so busy either delivering or shaping their business, they are not PR, they are not social media specialists. There's so much content that needs to be curated, positioned, promoted, developed, articulated. It's a full-time job for someone who doesn't understand it. Sometimes you'll find church ministries need help with this, businesses need help with this, schools need help with this, individual brands need help with this, online shops, you name it, consultants, you are a business and you're online. That tour guide, they need help with this. How can they get their social media presence to make money, to bring in clients, to connect, to tell a story about who they are and who they want to be, what their brand is supposed to be. There's a really big opportunity in this area. So the things you need to think about is about getting your pricing right, and understand when you start, even if you have experience, your first few clients, you won't make money. I'm going to be honest. You won't make a profit, because you need, in this business, you need to be able to show your bona fides. I have handled these 10 clients, and they need to be able to see the clients are doing well. It doesn't mean you're going to work for free. It doesn't mean you should work at a loss, but you're not going to make a lot of profit. But once you can get 5 breakout clients that are doing well, they have the views, they have the subscribers, they have the followers, I'm telling you, you will practically name your price. Once they can see, you know, I want to know, I can close my eyes and it's done. So this is definitely an area, if you're in this space, you like to scroll, you like to make those cute videos, you're quick to hop on trends, you understand how to use trends, how to leverage trends, get more training, get more exposure, but this is an area for you. And what's great about it is it's online. You can do it primarily remotely. Even if you're helping your client to shoot videos, you can do that on the weekends, because guess what? They probably have a day job too. So this is a really, really good area. I love for you to think about it, and you can make a lot of money in Nigeria. Social media is blowing up in this space. It's so hot. People are really, I mean, there are people who do all these comedy videos. Some of them make 1.5 million naira per mention of a brand. So this is a space that is continuing to heat up and blow up and blow up and blow up. I'm not even sure who watches traditional TV like that anymore. So really, this is an area where if you're not in this, there's room for you. There's room for you. There's room for you. Think about your niche market. Think about who you want to service. Think about where you have the experience or the reputation or even the interest. Start from there. That part, that niche is probably deep enough and wide enough for you to make a very good income. The final business that can make you really, really good money that I want to talk about is, drum roll, moving services company. What's that? You are relocating. You used to live in Ikeja, you're moving to Lekki. You used to live in Lagos, you're moving to Abuja. You used to live in Akure, you're moving to Enugu. You are still in Lagos, you live to live in Street A, you're moving 3 streets down. Movers are a service that is needed here, and they are not enough. Traditionally, we would say, oh, there's a man at the junction, he has a truck, he can carry load. Let me just call him. Do that, and you do it at your own peril. Half of your things will be broken, damaged. Some of them will go missing. All sorts of issues. You injure your back. You may your staff may resign midway out of frustration because it's too much. Moving properly is an art, and the more you've accumulated in your life, the older you get, the more stuff you have, the more important that you realize that having properly skilled movers is so important. Most people are even afraid and hesitant to move house because of just the stress of moving. Do you know that moving house statistically is one of the most stressful things people can pass through? It's in the top 10 of the most stressful things that can happen, and traumatic things that can happen to a person. Oh yes. So what does that mean? If you're organized, you know how to put boxes together, you are calm under pressure, you're strong, you want to keep fit, guess what? Get a truck, get a good crew together, teach them the fundamentals of how to move heavy things, lift with your knees bent, how to put things together. You can make really good money moving. I know people who pay 500,000 naira for moving services, and the movers will only work for 1 day. Maybe they'll come 2 days before. You will pack your stuff. If you want to pay for packing, they offer that as an additional service. But just for lifting, loading, moving, doing all the trips to move your stuff, they can charge as much as 500,000. It depends on what you have and how valuable your things are to you. If the TV that you spent 1 million naira to buy is not valuable to you, and you give it to someone to move and it's broken, well, maybe that's 500,000 now or 250,000. It does not sound very expensive. They will help you move your ACs, move your fittings, different things you need to get done. And you have a cost for all of that. So moving services is a really good area that you can consider. It's a highly, I was going to say it's a male dominated area, especially if you're starting out doing it yourself, but that's actually not necessarily true. There are a lot of women who are also in that area. They know how to coordinate and get young strapling lads to help, move and do things right. But if you're organized, if you know how to be careful and cautious and conscientious, you have a good team together of young people who you can bring, or at least fit individuals who you can bring. You can even get the proper equipment, because sometimes all the gurneys, all the things that you need to lift and do it properly, everyone can't afford to buy those things. I'm only going to move once every 5 years. You can concentrate that in your business and provide this service beautifully. And people need movers. Offices, from a corporate standpoint, they need people to help them with moving. There's so many, the potential for this area in Nigeria, it's vast because it's really underserved. People are trying to do it themselves ad hoc, and they're doing it badly. And what's great about this business is the word of mouth, the reference, the potential reference power of this particular service is so great. You definitely want to look at that. So there you have it. That's it. The 10 businesses that can make you some really good money in Nigeria. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I sign off, always remember, please be humble and learn. Bye for now. Hi everybody, my name is Bookie and I'm here with the Good Eve channel. And today I'm going to take on what is fast becoming one of my new favorite topics: 10 more businesses that you can do in Nigeria to make really good money. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So like I said, we're going to talk about ideas. That's what you can expect. Ideas, concepts, things that you can do to make good money in Nigeria. Nigeria is a unique market located in West Africa with over 200 million citizens, 70% which are under the age of 30. Can you imagine that? So they're still going to get married. They're just getting married. Young kids, old kids, no kids. I'm telling you, this is a vibrant market. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. The opportunities that are bound in a developing economy, rapidly evolving in the sexy Africa market. Yes, we're saying Africa is sexy now. It's where the money's at. It's where the progress is at. Okay, so before we get started, the first thing I want you know what I'm going to ask for. Give me a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe. I want to ask you to share this video with 5 people who you know are thinking about starting a business. Just do them a service. Don't worry if they watch it or not. Send them this video. I'm telling you, you are giving them a really great gift. So I'm going to get right into it. The first concept that I want to share with you is home-baked goods. These are your traditional baked goods. Cakes, cake craft, sugar craft. I'm telling you, Nigerians, we love to celebrate and we love variety. We love to eat from different kind of cultures. We eat Indian food, we eat Chinese food, we eat, the Lebanese food. The options are endless. And then, Nigeria is a country with over 200 different languages and hundreds of different tribes. And we love eating the different types of foods from all the different types. It gives us so much variety. So Nigerians are foodies. We love food. We do. It's one of the things that makes us happy. I think the pepper, the oranges, I personally love oranges. The sunlight, we love food. We celebrate around food. So anything that's in the food space, potentially if you can carve out a niche for yourself, it will be good business. And baked goods, cakes, pastries, things like that are always good. People always catering in for office events, for church events, for parties, for birthdays. There's a tradition when I was working as a professional. Once it's your birthday, you kind of wash it or celebrate with the whole office. In my office, we used to get a platter of small chops, which are a form of baked goods or canapes. Sometimes people would do baked goods, sometimes people would do canapes, which is like the small chops, spring rolls, samosas, barbecue chicken, and they just, serve it to everybody in the office. So we're into food, and we're into celebrating with food in Nigeria. So it's a really good area. If you can find a unique spin, think about your presentation, think about your service, timing, delivery, how you can get the food there hot and fresh. Temperature makes a big difference. I'm telling you, this is a really good area. Second idea, makeup artist. So this has to do, you're a young startup. You don't even need a lot of money to get into this space. You can provide makeup services. This goes also to our big party culture in Nigeria. Old women, mamas as we call them, you're in your 70s, you're in your 60s, you're in your 80s. We want to look good. You're young, you want to look good. Yeah, in fact, there's no woman that doesn't want to look good. So you have a segment here. If you want to do bridal makeup only, that can be your segment. You want to do makeup for more elderly women, so the makeup with that, you want to think about the products you use so that they have more delicate skin, more fragile skin. You want to think about the brushes and the sponges and the equipment you're using. You want to think about the hygiene because they're more vulnerable. You can have you want to do makeup for the uber wealthy. You can do it in Nigeria. You want to do makeup and make it an assembly line and just get in a lot of young people, and someone does only foundation, someone does only the eyeliner, someone does only eyeshadow, and just make it like an assembly. There's so many concepts you can play around in the makeup space here. Only home service, only come into your shop. You have so much variety. But we love makeup, we love beauty, we love fashion in Nigeria. So definitely being a makeup artist is a really good way, and stylist is a really good way to kind of get a stepping stone and ladder onto a good financial setting. And also, it's something you definitely can do, part-time, flexible time. You can do it only for weekend events or only for evening events. A third concept that would really good is if you're a professional home/office organizer. So a lot of times people, as they begin to grow in their careers and move into bigger and bigger homes, they carry their old lifestyle and structure into those new spaces. So there are quite a few people that are living in lovely homes from the outside, but inside they've not thought about getting the right plastic organizers for their beans, for their rice, for their grains, the right kind of drawer organizers or the drawer setup for their silverware and their cutlery. The right kind of store setup so you can have all the different elements, how to store their blenders and their different, the different kind of equipment they use in their kitchen, how to present it properly, even their home. They have bookshelves, they have books, they have files that they use from time to time, how to just put everything together to make it presentable. And a lot of times there are a lot of files people are dealing with. There's an opportunity to digitize there. So a professional home or office organizer, I'm telling you, is a great skill to have, and it's a service a lot of businesses need, and it's underserved. So definitely think about doing something in that space. It's niche though at this time, but I'm telling you, there's a really good space for it. Create a page, create enough awareness around it, begin to provide this service. I'm telling you, it's a business that will grow with referrals alone. Number 4, social media manager. And with this, I'm speaking just to someone who manages people's, Facebook pages, Instagram pages. You just put in the content, you're able to help them with all of that. And this is different from the concept before around PR, where you're even at PR level, you're thinking of strategy and brand. With just social media, all of that has been articulated probably for you already. What you're just doing is the nut and bolts, the daily grind. You put together their Instagram calendar. You plot all the content on it. It just starts working. You're able to help them with their Facebook. Their posts are going up there. You're helping them to put in content. I'm telling you, a lot of people are not as tech friendly as they should be. You've invested in a smartphone, you have a really good device, and it's something you can do in the evenings. And what's lovely about social media is you can time the release of the posts. So you don't have to do it live. Once you have it set in, it's just on auto. It's happening. So the work you need to do, you can do it on a Saturday, sit down with your client. It can even be a phone conversation, plot out, they send you pictures, they send you the content, and boom, everything is working. So this is a really good area where, especially as a young person who's very tech friendly, you can make a really good income. A 5th idea is Data entry services. I'm telling you, there's so many businesses that need good quality individuals to put in data. I'm telling you, you know what they say, garbage in, garbage out. So we need to get it right when they're putting in. A lot of businesses are realizing that they cannot continue to store excessive amounts of things in paper, and they're being required to put in, their information and their files into an electronic format. And after they've done that, they, on an ongoing basis, guess what? They have to keep entering data. And sometimes the way some of these businesses work, they're not willing to have someone come in full time to do it. They're ready to accumulate it, and then at the end of the week, you just pick up the files and you enter the data in for them. So this is a really good area also for you to provide services, is data entry. Number 6, audio or video editor. So there are a lot of people who are getting into the vlogging space. There are a lot of churches, motivational speakers, and even just regular people offering training, businesses that do training for their staff. So they've always done the training face to face, but they're beginning to realize, especially with the pandemic, it makes sense. Why not have a recorded training? Then people can watch it over and over again at their own convenience. And you're sure that every time that they watch it, everybody's getting the same kind of content. So that requires editing. No matter how you look at it, that people are going to make mistakes, there are things you may want to add into it, that content you may want to add to a video to make it richer and better. And editors are needed for this purpose. And what's lovely about this is you can do it right from the convenience of your own home. You can do it from anywhere, from your office, from your own home, in the car, if you're not driving, you can do it pretty much anywhere. So it's a really good space, and editing takes time. But you know what's amazing is you get better and better at it the more that you do it. So that's one of the benefits of looking into audio and video editing. Number 7, you could be a voiceover artist. So can you pause? This dog is really barking. Why? Hi everybody, my name is Bookie and I'm here again for the Good Eve channel. And today I'm going to keep talking about 10 businesses that can make you some good money in Nigeria. So what I'm covering today are ideas that will give you an inkling of what are some businesses that you can do to make good money that will work in this Nigerian market. Let's be clear. Nigeria's market is growing every day and it's becoming more sophisticated, but there's still so many areas where there's so much need for your expertise, need for your energy, need for your perspective, need for your courage. And so if you're interested in starting a business this year, I want you to consider one of these ideas for yourself. Take it up and do it well. Do it with excellence. Now, before I get started with number 5, because I've covered 1 through 4, the first was a freelance developer for websites. The second was the fitness and diet area. And the third was graphic design. And the fourth was being a life or career coach. I want to ask you to give me a like. I'm giving you good content. Don't you like it? You don't like money? If you like money, give me a like. It's free. Subscription too. Free. Subscribe, and please, I want you to share this with someone. Share this with 5 people. That's my request. Share it with 5. Why 5? Because you must have 5 friends who at least are thinking to themselves, what can I do to make some extra money? What can I do so that eventually, if it's not my goal to become MD of the company, after all, only one person can be MD at a time. Maybe my goal is to run my own business. I can be MD of my own business. If you have 5 friends and you care about them and you love them, share this video with them so they can begin to also think about ideas that can help them make good money. Hey, if you want to have 5 rich friends, rich people have already formed their cliques. They're not going to bring you in. But if you can make your friends rich while you become rich, guess what? You'll have rich homies and homegirls to hang out with. So I want to ask, share this with 5 people today, right now, before you finish watching, and I'm going to go back to giving you this delicious content on how you can make some good money in Nigeria. So point 5 is you can be a resume writer. resume writer, yes, people are looking for jobs. And there are lots of times, I'm telling you, the resumes that come across my desk when I'm headhunting or recruiting. And I know some of these individuals. I know them in the market. I know they're much better than what they've put down, but they don't understand how to position themselves to get those key jobs, to make their CV so mouth-watering, so juicy, with the legitimate experience that they actually have. Because there's some people who lie on their CVs, and you really don't want to do that. So people need help. They're so busy delivering on their jobs, but they realize that I want to make a move. I want to go, but I want, a bird in the hand is worth 20 in the bush. Okay, but the first step is you need a CV that tells the story. Once you get to a certain level of experience, it cannot be, oh, I have this friend, help me give her a job. That's embarrassing. No. Your work, your CV, your profile should speak for you. And you know what? If you really want to get it right, you may not be able to write it yourself. So if you know you're good at preparing profiles, writing CVs, putting them together, the formatting, the presentation, making sure there are no spelling errors, making sure that the new trends in CVs and resumes, you keep abreast of them, I'm telling you, this is an excellent area to make some really good money. There are templates you can buy. There's software you can invest in. I might not want to invest in all that energy and all that software just to use it for myself. But if you invest in it and then you now make it a business, you price it reasonably, and you target particular segments, I'm telling you, you have a potential gold mine for yourself. So what I want to say is, this area, if you're an HR person, you do a lot of recruiting, you do a lot of hiring, you see a lot of CVs, this is an easy area where you can just put together a nice website or a social media page. You can use Instagram, create some awareness and some buzz, and provide this service. I'm telling you, if it's an area which you enjoy, you want to help people, it's a good area to consider making some extra money. Sixth point, do you speak multiple languages? You speak French, you speak Spanish, you speak German. You're someone that just loves learning languages. Even if they're traditional Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, you can be a translator. And I'm telling you, if you're a translator for written text, the amounts of money you can earn in this space, it's not kid money. And we need a lot of translators, especially here in Nigeria. In fact, there's so many opportunities in this area. Legal documents, policy documents, marketing materials, so many things. If you are conversant in multi-languages and it's an area where you have strength, you definitely want to build up in this area and begin to branch out. Get a card, set up. That's why I told you in the beginning, you need a website, you need a social media presence. If you want to do a soft start, Instagram is a good place to set up shop, but you need all those branding materials, put them together and be serious about it. Begin to move. When you hear that UNDP is having a conference, start showing up for all these agriculture conferences, UNDP conferences, government NGO conferences, and letting them know that, what I do is I'm a translator. I can go with you if you're going into the community. I can talk with the community. I'm telling you, they need people who understand them, because sometimes when they have to get people on the ground, the nuance of what they're trying to communicate may be lost. But if you put a profile together and it's some area in which you have interest, especially if you don't want to even move out of your local community and you want to remain there because standard of living is very affordable, being a translator, I'm telling you, it can do so much for you. Once you establish a reputation for that service, even in your local community area, anybody coming in will be like, I need this person to handle this. He's the one that's able to handle translation and communicate effectively and properly in the community. Seventh business idea that can make you some really good money in Nigeria is garden designer. Yeah, you heard me right. Gardens. People, the aspirational dream of every Nigerian is to have their own compound. We like space. One day, even if I don't have children, now that I have children, I want them to have a space where they can run around, where they can play. I want to have a space where I can pull out my garden chairs and just sit there. But you know what? People are so busy now. People don't have the experience with plants to maintain them. And you know what a garden designer does is you help us do the setup. You let us know, okay, there's a lot of shade in this area. We're going to pick plants that can survive in the shade versus plants that are green and beautiful, but they need a lot of sunlight and intense sunlight. Oh, this place, it's very humid and dry. We're going to pick plants that thrive. They're like cacti. They thrive by retaining water. They don't need a lot of water to look lush and beautiful. Oh, this place there's a lot of rain, so we don't want to have plants that will be waterlogged because they'll rot. They understand all those nuances, and they also know how to put the colors together, how to make them vibrant. Do you know that there's certain plants or shrubs that you plant that in the evenings they release a beautiful fragrance? So if for you like, oh, I want something that will smell nice, they will know all the things to get. If you know you're a person like this, it sounds like I know a little bit about plants, right? Maybe this is an area I should consider. If you know you have a passion for that, you have experience in that, don't think that agriculture degree is useless. It's not. Not everything, not every time farming, though we'll still get to that one. But even in garden design, you can do so much. Businesses need it. Homes need it. Churches need it. They want this space that will be beautiful, and you can help them, charge them to set up the design. And then if they really like you, and you can find people around that you can build in your network to just help them water the plants, maintain the plants, trim the plants. And you know what's beautiful about this? Once a month, twice a month, you go there, help them to maintain the look, replace some shrubs that are struggling, and guess what? You're building your portfolio. And if they love it, people, you do it in a church, you do it in a business, people come, I just really love the combination, the plants. Who did this for you? That's how referrals start. So if it's an area in which you're interested in, and what's great about gardening, you can't do it when the sun is hot. So you can actually do it as a side hustle. You can say all my Saturdays, Sundays, early in the morning, that's when I go and maintain my clients. You can decide to do it early in the morning depending on what your job is. 5:30 is not too early for you to be at your client site because it's early, taking care, doing your cutting, doing your trimming, working with your crew. And before you know it, so that means if you live in an area where you have a lot of clients, you can service multiple clients a day. And if you're someone that's trying to keep fit, it's an active career that you can enjoy. So it's something that you can do, and people pay good money for this. So definitely, I want you to consider garden design. I can't say it too many times. I will tell you it's a really good area. An eighth business that I definitely want you to consider that will make good money in Nigeria is an online store. This can be anything, but let's just talk about clothes. I know this gal, she is doing online used clothing. I can't even believe it, but I'm telling you, she's very, very popular. And you know what I love about the way she markets her business is she styles the things that she buys. So even if it's used shoes, if it's used clothes, look, Rome is not built in a day. You start somewhere, and look, a lot of people go to those markets to buy those clothes. Why not bring something like that online? And you know what the beauty is? The fact that she's doing it and she's doing it successfully doesn't mean you can't do it and do it successfully. You can decide that, you know what, the one I'm going to do is only going to be targeted at very slim women. You can decide the one you're going to do is going to be targeted at women who are very, very robust, so that they know one-stop shop. I have an event coming up. They've invited me to a dinner and I want to pair them. They know, where do they come? They come to your site. They come to your social media page and they see that, oh, you have some suggestions for them. They can get a total look and they can go there with confidence because you have clothes. It doesn't have to be used clothes. It can be new clothes. It can be kids' clothes. I know a person that sells pajamas for children. Everybody likes matching pajamas now. That is what they do. I know someone that online for children's parties, all she sells are these TPs. It's some children party concept where they do like a sleepover, but they don't sleep overnight. They sleep during the day and they have like beds. It's so cute. Check it out. I'm telling you, whatever it is. And you know, I remember how she got started. She saw this concept somewhere in the US. She loved it. it was not available in Nigeria. She called a carpenter and she said, I'm going to do this for my child, because she's crazy about giving her children beautiful, amazing, awesome, and unique birthday experiences. So she built her teepees here, got the mattresses, did everything, and then she was like, okay, I've done all these things. It was a wonderful event. We had a great time at the party, but I'm not going to throw them away. And she just created a site, got some more chiffon fabric, and began to rent the elements to others. I mean, isn't that genius? She gave her baby an awesome party, created the market, and then capitalized on it. So there's so many things you can sell online in an online store. I want you to look around yourself, look around your home. What are the things that, you know what? I met a lady yesterday who was telling me about how she had a gluten allergy. And so because of that, she started selling gluten-free stuff. She needed to bring in some gluten-free stuff for herself because she's very sensitive to it, very allergic. And she just realized that, this doesn't make sense for me to just buy one. Let me buy a dozen. And she just started putting it on her social media, putting it on her WhatsApp. And people started buying from her. And now she's making a legitimate business. She bakes nothing. She cooks nothing. She just brings in things. And because it was a need she had for herself, she had a very deep interest in it. She's very stringent, very particular, and she has a lot of loyal clients who rely on her now to bring in these things. So online store is an excellent one. I want you to take a look at. Look around your home, look around your life. What are the things? New mom, are you always buying diapers? That is an excellent one. Create a diaper store where people can get those things wholesale. Are you always buying baby food? There's so many elements that you can think of when it comes to an online store. Now we're going to move on to idea number 9. So this is an idea that can help you make good money in Nigeria. Offer a specialized niche catering service. I remember a few years ago, probably about 8 years ago, when quinoa, this low carb, it's actually not low carb, but it's supposed to be like a highly proteinous health food, came into the market. And I remember there was only one caterer I knew then that would offer, should cater your birthday, cater your massive events, and she was offering quinoa and some of these unique grains as a healthy alternative to rice in the market. I'm telling you, people are so self-conscious. Recently, I particularly like to stay away from flour. I love it, but it's not my friend. So I have seasons where I will abstain. But if it's a really important season or someone's really important birthday, or it's a really just a cake brand I adore, I'll have a piece and indulge and pay the price later. But I discovered this baker on Instagram who produces almond flour cakes, donuts, everything. Everything is gluten-free. She's a specialized baker, and I'm telling you, it saves me a lot of stress because I had to make a lot of those things from scratch. And while I would say I'm a decent cook and baker, it's just stressful. It's easier for me to pay someone to provide this service so I can focus on, hey, you guys are good eve. And just know that I'm going to get my cake and it's going to be perfect every single time when I need it. I've since discovering her, I ordered for my husband on his birthday. I ordered for my son on his birthday. In fact, my husband loved her cake so much. We just ordered and it's not even his birthday. He just likes it on GP. So you can offer a specialized niche service for people who have specialized, for instance, dietary needs. There are a lot of older people who they miss their banga soup, but they can't eat as much oil. Can you come up with a recipe and prepare it and deliver it to them? I'm telling you, you have a customer for life as long as you're consistent. This person, I like my egusi soup. Can you come up with an alternative that's maybe lower in cholesterol, that's healthy and tasty? I'm telling you, they will be calling you. So I want you to look at that area. Food, people always say food money is good money, and everywhere in the world it's true. People want to eat good food. Food makes us happy. It lifts our spirits. Food is our medicine. It keeps us alive and nourishes our body. So if you can come up with a specialized or niche catering service, I'm telling you, there's some caterers that you have a lot of expatriates that live in the country and they have to do large amounts of cooking, and yeah, they can cater out from restaurants. But guess what? You could serve some of those communities, especially if you're good at making those type of meals. Give them an alternative that they're like, oh, this spaghetti dish is really, really good. I know that there's certain bakers that only make Lebanese flatbread, and they've cornered that market practically. Are there other types of bread, maybe from the Ethiopian community, that you believe that Nigerians will really enjoy? Come up with a niche. Nigerians, we're very adventurous with our food. Many of us, we like to travel. We've tried different things. And once we've tried, oh, I went to Mexico. I really love the tacos and the quesadillas. I'm trying to eat it in Nigeria. I don't want to buy the whole thing. I just want to try it again and eat it with my family once or twice. And guess what? Once we're addicted, just like pizza, we start to have it every week because it's easily available. So think of a niche, not something that's general. Catering, that's also a good idea, but something that's niche and unique. I'm telling you, there's really good money to be made. You can charge a premium because we know it's premium ingredients. We know they're difficult to get. And I'm telling you, word of mouth, that baker who makes beautiful flour-free cakes, I've given her contact to at least 10 people, me, and I know at least half of them have patronized her. So we're going to idea number 10, and this is the last idea to share about 10. This is the 10th idea of a business you can do that can make you some good money in Nigeria, and that's to be a property manager. What? I didn't say, yes, listen to me, a property manager. People always say that, oh, one of the most passive ways you can make money is to be a realtor. But can I tell you something? There's always some work. There's no free money in this life. And sometimes, especially as your buildings begin to age and you don't want to have vacancies, which means rent, unlet portions of your building needs to be maintained properly. You need someone to be the liaison between you and your tenants, especially if you're very soft-hearted and kind-hearted, especially if you're getting older and elderly, especially if you own property that's spread out across different states or a far distance. A good property manager is always helpful. And this is the first tip I'll give you about going into this space. Focus on a particular area. If you live in an estate, if you live in a community, and the community in that estate, let's say you live in Ikoyi, or those ones are rich, maybe they don't need it. I'm joking, I know they do. Let's say you live in Awoyaya. Focus in Awoyaya. Let anybody know that if you're looking for a home in Awoyaya, even other agents, even other property managers, let them know that when it comes to Awoyaya, I'm the king of Awoyaya, or I'm the queen of Awoyaya. Know every vacancy, drive the streets, know the area, know the landlord. If you see someone building, introduce yourself. At this area, I'm focused in Awoyaya. If anybody's looking for a property in Awoyaya, they know to come to me. Make yourself an authority in that area. The smart thing about that is if you live in Awoyaya and you're managing properties in Awoyaya, you have the capacity to manage 100. Because you are not the one that is going to fix the windows. You're not the one that is going to fix the plumbing problems. But then you can get a plumber, maybe that lives in Awoyaya, a mason who lives in Awoyaya, a carpenter. So all of your crew that help you to maintain and help other people to maintain their properties are all local. It makes your life so much easier. If you want to see the landlord, landlords can be very demanding. You can see the landlord on short notice. Don't worry, sir, I'm in Awoyaya. When you're coming through, let me know when you're at your property. I will come over. You're able to do that and leverage on a lot of economies of scale and provide consistently good service. The mistake a lot of people make when they go into this space is you live in Awoyaya, you want to be servicing properties in Ikeja, or you want to be servicing properties in Abuja, and all it happens is disappointment everywhere. Especially if this is going to be a side gig for you and you have a full-time job and you just want to dedicate some time. Most people are busy during the week, so you can let them know I'm open evenings and Saturdays and Sundays. I'm telling you, a lot of landlords will be happy because they have full-time jobs too. So Saturdays and Sundays are ideal time for them to come by to check on their properties and even have a meeting or conversation with you. Property management, I'm telling you, no one is doing it quite right. They're too spread out, they're too vast, they're too unfocused. There's a great opportunity here for a lot of young people, old people, middle-aged people to come into this space and improve the service delivery. Well, thank you for listening to all these ideas. I hope they have your brain buzzing and you're thinking about some of the different things you can do to make good money in Nigeria. As I always say, as I round up, please subscribe, like, and share this video. Just 5 people, but if you do more, I've already clapped for you. Remember always, be humble and learn. Bye for now.